Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is our 2026 NFL Draft Prospect Show. I'm along with Joey Clinkscales, Brian LeBel, and Vincent Turner won't be able to be with us tonight. So we're going to talk, just Joey and myself, about Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington, University of Washington. He's a Husky, big kid. Joey, this is a guy that at 6'4", 210, 15 pounds. He's not the biggest you're going to see, but I think the size in and of itself and the speed, we're going to talk about that. But the numbers speak for themselves. A high school kid, was very good, about 2 or 3 star guy, 3, not a 4, stands from the university, or he's in the state of Washington. He ends up going to the University of Washington, becoming a Husky. And I just like his tenacity. The speed, again, we'll talk about 50-50 balls. He looks faster on tape than what he really is. There are a lot of things that we're going to be able to break down. But first and foremost, give me your first impressions about Denzel and what you think about this young Husky wide receiver.
Well, the thing that you like about him, again, you talked about it, his size. He's a big kid. He's about 6'4". Again, he's about 210. Again, he's not going to scare you with his deep speed. But what he has is he's got great physical range. He is a natural hands catcher. And if you look at him on tape, you can tell he's got really big hands. So I would be curious to see, as we all know, the combine is going on this week, what his hand size is, because looking at him on tape, he's got really big hands. Now, he's not the most fluid guy in the world, but what he can do is win 50-50 balls. He's a huge red zone target. He understands route development. You can see some of those things. And because he's big, that does not mean that he's not flexible and he can't bend, because he can bend, he can get out of things. And again, the catch radius is what really intrigues you about this player. He will struggle initially some with pressure in his face versus press coverage. Guys they'll get their hands on it from time to time. So in that offense, they did a good job of, especially when they were in bunt set. And what bunt set is, for the audience, is when you have 3 receivers to one side, they're moving, so he's not on the line of scrimmage. He's able to get off on the snap behind another receiver, so he doesn't have guys pressuring him. So from that standpoint, he may need some formational help. That's how I'll word that. But he does a really good job, and surprisingly, with the hands, he is a punt returner, and he did return a couple punts, at least one this year for a touchdown. And you wouldn't think that because he didn't have great top end speed, but he is a really natural catcher. He's secure with his hands, and I'm sure that the staff wanted a dependable punt catcher back there, and he's certainly dependable. And you can see that watching him play at the University of Washington.
You bring up an interesting point, Joey, talking about his history. When he first gets to Washington, you got Rome Odunze, McMillan, you've got Jalen Holt that are there. He was learning from some guys that are NFL ready. How much of that do you think carries over to where his game? They weren't there his sophomore year. Junior year, this is his year where he's coming out now. He's got 62 receptions, 881 yards, 11 touchdowns this year. He has 20 touchdowns overall in the last couple of years at Washington. Didn't get to play a whole lot as a freshman, but I think that kind of maybe put a chip on his shoulder to go, you know what, I'm not getting a whole lot of time. I want that time. I'm not going to transfer, but what I'm going to end up doing is taking advantage of it. When those guys leave, I'm going to take over, and I'm going to be that next guy. I think he's made his case for doing that.
Oh, without question. A lot of guys that aren't 4-star or 5-star guys, they come in with a chip on their shoulder because they see these other guys and they're trying to figure out, well, why is this guy rated higher than me? And I'm in practice with this guy every day, and I know I can do some of the same things that this player can do. Now, we mentioned Rome Odunze, who was a first-round pick a year or 2 ago, and he is a guy that's really big, that does a lot of really good things. And from a size standpoint, this guy will measure similar to Rome Odunze. He's not as explosive as Rome was, but from a hands perspective, I think his hands are as good, if not better, than Rome was. So there's some things that you like about this player. Again, we talk about his red zone ability, his ability to win 50-50 balls. He's a big target, again, with big hands. And you like the physical presence that this guy has on the field. And again, he was a productive receiver. We're not just talking about a big receiver. We're talking about a big, productive receiver.
Yeah, red zone especially. Talk a little bit about the competition. You mentioned Romaduzzi and guys that he's going to learn from. Compare that to some of the things that he was able to do at the Big Ten level as a junior. Red zone efficiency, I think, was really good. You mentioned the speed. I did earlier. Let's attack that right now. He needs to be faster in order to be that number one guy. He doesn't have that breakaway speed. He doesn't have, in my opinion, the ability to be a guy once he gets the ball in open space. He's not going to fake anybody out. He'll gain some yards, but he's not going to be. He's going to do it by running somebody over as opposed to being able to break away, make a juke, and break away in that sense. Is that something that you found as well?
Yes, without question. I think he'll probably be a mid 4.5, low to mid 4.5 guy. Which is fine, which is plenty fast enough for a guy his size. They aren't going to ask him to run by a lot of guys. Again, formationally, they'll be able to create things for him. Anytime he's down the field in a 50-50 ball situation, he has the ability and the skill set to win the jump ball situation, win in the red zone, win back shoulder catches. So those things he has that some of the smaller guys can't do. So from a skill set perspective, he reminds me just a little of Cortland Sutton. Cortland is a big receiver. I think Cortland was a first-round pick. I wouldn't think that this kid's going to be a first-round pick, probably a second-round pick. This is a really deep wide receiver draft, so it really depends on what kind of receiver that's your flavor. Some teams will really like this guy because he's big, because he's got a big catch radius, because he can win 50-50 balls, because he can win on the back shoulder, because he can beat a smaller receiver in a jump ball situation. So there are a lot of things that this guy offers that the smaller guys can't. And again, he's not going to win from a speed perspective down the field, but you don't always. There are a lot of ways to skin a cat. You don't always have to win with speed, especially in the National Football League.
Bubble screens, outside runs. Let's talk about his blocking. There are some things that you can work on, but you either have it or you don't. It's a want-to thing. The 50-50 ball, the back shoulder catch. You work on it, but you've either got it or you don't, in my opinion. You have that tenacity, that toughness. That's hard to develop. You either get it and say, because it's mine, I am going to get it. That's not something you can teach. Again, you can practice it, but you got to have that dog in you in the first place. Almost every receiver is going to get criticized on the college level that he's not a great blocker. What do you think about that in terms of his respect? Because of his size, I don't think he has to work as hard. I just think he needs to work a little bit and get his blocking a little bit better, because he'd be a monster out there against some of those smaller corners on individual matchups on those bubble or jet screens where if he's not receiving the ball, he could really make some things open up.
Yeah, I don't question his toughness as a receiver blocking. I do question some of the angles that he takes. Blocking is about angles. It's about knowing where the DB is going to be if he's not directly in front of you. Yeah. And it's about a certain level of physicality and toughness. So I'm not really concerned about his physicality and toughness and I'm concerned about his angles. And again, he's going to be asked to crack down on linebackers at times, especially in the run game. So not only is he going to have to deal with the corners, he's big enough that he's going to have to face linebackers in the run game. And that's the want-to I'm talking about. I mean, everybody wants to block somebody that's their size, but he's going to have to block guys that's coming full speed, that's bigger than him. And again, you can't cut anymore like you could in the old days. So he's got to stay up, and that's all about angles. And he's smart enough. You can tell in his game he's got a pretty good level of football acumen to his game. I think he is aware of zone coverages. He's aware of man coverage. He's aware when things switch on the move. So I'm not really concerned about some of these things. I'm not concerned, again, about his football acumen or his level of physicality. His want-to is what we're talking about at this point, especially as a blocker. Yeah,
I agree. And I'm not questioning his toughness either. I'm just saying you have to be a tough player in order to do some of those things. And if you've already got it in you, if that dog's already hunting, that's a great thing to have. It's a nice possession. He was third team All Big Ten as a wide receiver and a returner. Talk a little bit about the special teams factor, his ability to just be there at the right time on punt protection, or block where, hey, get in there, let's see what you can do. I don't need him to score, but I sure need him to make sure that he catches it. The LA Rams, for example, will tell you what a big difference that was in their playoff game. But his ability to be ready to go at any time, is that a big plus that you think will go in his pocket in terms of getting into camp and being able to make a team? Because he's got not only one thing that he does well, but there's another thing that he's very good at as well.
Without question. I mean, rarely do you find a wide receiver that's 6'4" that's a punt returner. I mean, most of those guys are small guys, really quick and fast guys, and he doesn't fall into the really quick and fast guy category. But he's got dependable hands. They trust him back there to catch the ball and make secure catches and not lose yards and not catch the ball on the 1 or 2 yard line. So all those things come into smarts, which he has. And again, he had a 78-yard punt return touchdown this year. So there is something there to him which will allow him to do some things as a punt returner if a team does not already have one. He'll probably be a backup punt returner or security guy. He'll probably run some kickoffs back because he's big enough to do that. But, they trust him to not fumble the ball. They trust him to make good decisions. They trust him to be secure. So those are the things, again, as a receiver, the more you can do, the more likely you are to make an impact on your team, especially if you don't walk in the door as a starter.
His last game was at the LA Bowl. Washington played Boise State, had 6 receptions, 125 yards, had a big 70-plus yard touchdown there on that game. He finishes strong, in my opinion, with that. But is a fair critique of him that, well, where was that against Oregon? Where was that against Ohio State? Where was that against some of the better teams that Washington played in the air? It's okay to do it against Boise in a bowl game, but I needed that a little bit more consistently during the regular season against some of the better teams. Is it fair to criticize him for not having a big game against those big teams that you had to win?
Yes and no, not necessarily. I mean, it's a team sport. So if the offensive line can't handle Oregon's defensive line, then the quarterback's not going to have time, or if the quarterback's not having a great game. So there are a lot of factors that go into how a receiver makes plays in a game. And system matters. So if the system is not set up to, the thing about the NFL, and I'll switch a little. The thing about the NFL is there is game plan specific most of the time, meaning that from week to week, the game plan will change depending on who you're playing, depending on the blocking scheme that you face offensively, depending on the personnel that you have compared to the personnel that the other team has. Sometimes the offensive lineman will need help. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes, if you're facing a really good defense coordinator that can blitz the edges a lot and force the quarterback off the spot and have him rushing or scrambling to one side, then guess what? He may not be on the side where they're scrambling to. And guess what? He's not going to be in the progression that week a whole lot. So there are a lot of factors that go into whether a receiver will catch a lot of balls, especially in big games, because when you're in a big game, it's definitely a team effort. And if you have a consistent team from a standpoint of personnel in respect to the team you're playing, then you have a better chance of being productive.
Yeah.
And I think from that standpoint, Washington, if we're being fair, they were undermanned a lot versus the better teams in the Pac-10.
Yeah. I would agree with that completely. And again, you have a big game against Boise. It's a bowl game. It's still a big game. Congratulations for that. And there's sometimes when the trajectory of the game is we're going to run a heck of a lot more. So they're not going to pass. And you may be double teamed and we're going to go to a guy that's not. You may want to hit the tight end on crossing routes. A lot of different reasons why you would have certain instances like that. Great hands, big size. I like his box out skill. So I'm calling for his ability to be like a basketball player and post up in some areas where zone defense allows for it. There are folks who say he's a lot faster on tape than what he shows, and he has some red zone dominance. Those are some things that really stick out for me. What if anything else, what does Denzel Boston do that impresses you? Maybe not a first rounder, but he should go in the second, at least from the ranking and where the order is for where he sits at the wide receiver position.
Well, again, he's a big target, and offensive coordinators, quarterbacks, they all love big targets. They love guys that they can, because the times you're open in the NFL versus the times you're open in college is very slim. I mean, if you have a yard window, then you're considered open. The quarterback is supposed to be able to get you the ball to fit it in those windows, and you're expected to make catches, tough catches. Not all the time you're going to be open. And he has shown the propensity to be able to catch balls in tight windows. So those things work in his favor. And again, he probably there are times when you see some good play speed. I'm not going to say great play speed. You see good play speed. I mean, he's not going to be the quickest, most sudden guy, but he can win versus zone because you're running through zones, and he's able to sit down in the hole because he can understand where to sit and where to keep running through. But the thing you like about him, again, are his hands, his size, his toughness, his level of physicality with the ball in his hand. So there are things that obviously he can improve on, as they all can, but his skill set would tell you that he has a chance to be if not a great pro, a good pro, because he's able to be consistent in the things that he does really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the bright future in front of him. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. He runs about a 4.5 40. If that improves while he is at the combine, I think it only benefits not only himself, but his chances, obviously, of moving up in terms of the rankings for where the wide receivers are. A 4.4 would be astronomically better, in my opinion, for him to be able to do it in front of all the scouts. So a lot of great things in front of this young man who's from South Hill, Washington. He ends up going to Emerald Ridge High School. He starts all 4 years when he's in high school. He goes to the University of Washington. He sits for most of his freshman and redshirt year. He ends up only starting 4 games. But last year in 2024, he had 63 receptions and 9 touchdowns. This year, one less. He had 62 receptions, but 11 touchdowns. So 20 receptions as a UW Husky, Big Ten level. Very good athlete, and we wish him the well. That's Denzel Boston from the University of Washington. He's a wide receiver. Keep your eyes on him, folks, especially as the combine is going on this week. You could find some really amazing things that are happening. So for Joey Clinkscales, myself, Harper LeBel, Brian LeBel is not here. Vincent Turner was not able to be with us today. We want to say thank you for tuning in. This has been the 2026 NFL Draft Prospect Show featuring Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston, speak clearly, Harper. Get it over with. Anyway, so for Joey and myself, I want to wish everybody a great day. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the show, please subscribe. And in the meanwhile,